a World War III prisoner of war, kept within an underground camp due to the radioactive devastation on the surface of the Earth, is put through an experiment of time travel, intent on calling for resources and support from the past and the future for the catastrophes of the present. Few can withstand the process, their mental images not strong enough to undertake the struggle of time travel. The protagonist is one of the few who can. The image of a woman's face and a death at an airport imprinted so strongly on his memory that it has scarred him. Eventually reaching the peacetime era before World War III, he finally meets the woman of his memory. He falls in love, longing for the time period of his childhood, and gradually coming to the realization that the image of a death at the airport was that of his own. This is Chris Marker's classic short film, Jetee, an influential piece of experimental science fiction crafted from still photography, and the key inspiration behind its loose remake, directed by Terry Gilliam, 12 Monkeys. Unfurling an era-transcending tragedy through its poetic narration, Jetee also examines the malleability of human memory, both the striking nostalgia and its unreliability, as well as focusing on the lifelong impact that images can have on us. Discussing Jetee's focus on memory, as well as its elusive nature, Brian Dillon had written directly about the film for his article in The Guardian, stating that it is a film that mines deep seams of memory, but whose surface, though hardly forgettable, remains enigmatic in retrospect. After almost half a century, it is still hard to say what Marker achieved in his masterpiece. The recursive narrative of the film is just a pretext for a more involuted essay on time, memory, and the lure of images. Jetee is a complex and poetic reflection on the destructive and redemptive powers of memory. Film itself, we might say, is an act of forgetting. How much do you actually recall of your favourite movie? Dillon raises the fair observation regarding Jetee's mystique, a film about memory that becomes as challenging to penetrate, just like the reflection that some of our most cherished images may be false, faulty, or misremembered, presenting an alternate timeline of sorts that mirrors a contemporary fear of the resurgence of a grand war. Images of a bombed World War II France establishes the devastation of a new nuclear war, using images of the past to craft a nigh possible present, especially due to the Cold War fears of the time during the film's production. It's not our present day, but more like a misremembered version of the present day, an alternate. A visual manifestation that imagery can be imprinted on the perceiver, leaving a lasting impression, even if the circumstances and context surrounding it, in this case the film itself wrapping around the event of its depicted fictitious war, becomes more challenging to remember. Jetee is inherently elusive, mimicking the malleability of human memory with an authenticity few films achieve. Vague memories become snapshots of the past, as the protagonist undergoes the experimentation that will send his conscience into another era. An apartment, birds, children are just a few of the things concisely remembered, as the image of the past builds through the perception of time travel, memory itself a form of internalized, intimate time travel. Chris Marker's essayist-like film understands the delicate nature of human memory, observing that seemingly minute details are often taken for granted, only re-triggered within the moment of witnessing, such as when the protagonist remembers the existence of gardens as he walks through one with the woman of his memories. Who hasn't had a sudden surge of images flood their mind within a moment of witnessing something similar to what they believed was once forgotten, taken granted for? Further illustrating the impact of mental images, the protagonist and the woman of his memories, both nameless, possibly as an extended portrayal of the erosion of memories over time, walk through a museum full of what is described as ageless animals, taxidermied specimens. Each animal observed, a shadow of its former living self, serves as a physical manifestation of a memory, of a living image that once was, and that now no longer is. The animals in the museum are like a contrast of a distant past for our protagonist, once living in a natural habitat, like the peacetime society he's grown accustomed to. Chris Marker's film implements subtle scenery like this to extend his essayist exploration on the nature of memory and time, visually depicting a scene that's similar to those moments where the thing that's on the top of our tongue remains elusive, always out of reach, never quite coming back to mind. Just like the museum's taxidermied animals, some images and memories leave a scarring imprint on the mind. whether misremembered or a false memory becomes less important than the instantaneous imagery itself and our relationship to it, exactly like the protagonist's focus on the woman's face, a semblance of peace, or his own death, a looming shadow. In conclusion, Chris Marker's Jetee is a fascinating tale of postmodern science fiction told through still imagery, yet the film is also a poetic display on the nature of memory, time, and our relationship with it, whether falsely remembered or difficult to place, like the comforting nostalgia that the protagonist attaches to the woman's face he sees before tragedy unfolds. Chris Marker forces us to grapple with the attachments we form with our own fond internalised imagery, recognising that the significance of these images may not be completely apparent until we mature. Both an alternative and a reflection of the turbulent times we find ourselves in, Jetee suggests we're intertwined with the mental imagery we form, and that our pasts become just as evasive as the reliability of our memories. A special thank you to my incredible tier Patreon supporters Gil and Jared Spears of the Concessions podcast, and my super tier Patreon supporter Sportzilla.